Well, our chief reporter, Kaveh Solhekol, is here. So, Maresca, is he honest or is he brutal?
Well, look, I'm not going to accuse the Chelsea head coach of being dishonest. I think he's been honest with Raheem Sterling. He's told him face to face that he's not in his plans going forward. So that is the right way to do things. The only thing that would concern me from a player's perspective is I think during the summer, Raheem Sterling must have been receiving mixed messages, because at the end of last season, his representatives had talks with Chelsea and there was no indication that he was not wanted at the club. He looked at his future and he saw Chelsea. Now, during pre-season, he was involved, I think, in every pre-season game. Before the first game of the season against Manchester City, he took part in all the sort of media activities. He thought going forward he was going to have a senior leadership role at the club. And then on Friday, after training, Enzo Maresca took him to one side and had this honest conversation, which some people have described as brutal. So I think now Raheem Sterling knows where he stands. But of course, from his perspective, the timing is not that great, because he was told that he was not wanted just 2 weeks before the window closes.
Kaveh, on Sunday in the programme, he's got the number 7 shirt. On Wednesday, he has no shirt. Is that not brutal?
It's the football business. That's the way football works. I know it looks really, really brutal, but he's not the first player who's lost his shirt number, and he was told on Friday that he didn't have a future at the club. I totally understand and respect the point you're making. I would find it very difficult if what has happened to Raheem Sterling had happened to me out in the public and everyone was talking about it and discussing it on social media. But this is the kind of world that football players live in. You know, only 11 players get to start games. It is a brutal business, the football industry, and this is not the first time that this has happened. Yes, if you looked at the match programme on Sunday, Raheem Sterling was on the back as number 7. Pedro Neto was on the back as number 19. Some Chelsea fans have gone out there and bought number 19 Pedro Neto shirts. Now, I anticipate that Chelsea are going to say, if you've bought one of those shirts, bring it back to the club shop, we'll exchange it for a number 7 Neto shirt. But that's just the way football works, I'm afraid.
Only 2 seasons ago, Chelsea bought him from Manchester City for 50 million quid. What on earth has happened?
Well, things change. Things change in football. He's been at Chelsea for 2 seasons. He's on a very, very lucrative contract. I think Chelsea now have a new policy where they want their players to have relatively low base wages. So I think that could be a factor as well. But according to Enzo Maresca, this is just purely a footballing decision. And at the end of the day, Enzo Maresca can only have 25 players in his Premier League squad. And he's decided that for him, Raheem Sterling is not going to be one of those 25 players. Now, I think it's not all doom and gloom for Raheem Sterling, because he's still a very, very good player. He's somebody who is a very experienced England international. So I think over the next few days, he will have lots of offers. I believe he would rather stay in the Premier League. That's where he sees his future. His family are settled here. He wants to regain his England place. So I don't think he's going to be interested, for instance, in moving to Saudi Arabia. So I think the picture at the moment looks uncertain, but I would not be surprised at all if in the next few days, maybe next week, we were not standing here and talking about Raheem Sterling getting a big move to another Premier League club.
I'm glad at the beginning of that you mentioned the bloated nature of the Chelsea squad, because much has been made of the number of players in that squad. Maresca, though, says that's not an issue.
It's almost impossible to keep all of them happy. The only thing I can say is the same thing I said your colleague, that I try always to be honest with all of them. In this moment, probably the noise it's more outside, because I'm working with 21, 22 players in the last since we are back from USA. I'm not working with 42 or 43 players, but I already said many times, but I can see that you like to say that we have 42, 43 players, but more than 15 players, they are training apart. They are not with the team. As I said again, I repeat again, I'm not working with 42 players. That is something that from outside, I'm working in this moment with 21 players. Today's session is with 20 players. Yesterday's session was with 21. So it's the other 15 or 20, they're training apart. And in the USA, we had 26 or 27 players. So it's not if they are Chelsea player, 42, 43, yes, for sure. But they are not working with me every day. I don't see them. So it's not a mess like looks from outside. Absolutely not.
All right, Kaveh. So it's not a mess. He's a load of players not needed. But how does he deal with that situation? How does the club deal with 14, 15, 16 players not involved?
I think if you look at it from Enzo Maresca's point of view, what he's got is he's got a pool of around 40 first-team players. Now, he's not working with 40 players. He is working with around 20 players, and in 2 weeks' time, Chelsea will submit their Premier League squad, and like every other team, it will have 25 players in it. So this season, Chelsea will have 25 players in their squad in the Premier League. And I think the time to judge Chelsea is not now, it's time when the window has closed. When the window is closed, look at their squad and say, is it strong? Should they have this player? Should they have that player? Enzo Maresca, as the head coach, works with the players he wants, between 20 and 25 players. The other players, that is something that the sporting directors and the recruitment department at Chelsea are working on. Those players are going to be told, you are not going to be in the Premier League squad, so now is the time for you to find another club. And they've already been told that. What's happening? Why are they not moving now? Well, guess what? This is the transfer window. Clubs are playing poker with each other. Clubs who want some of those players know that probably they'll be able to get a better deal when we get closer to the deadline. Okay. So wait until the deadline, because once we have the deadline, then you will be able to see and judge what the Chelsea squad looks like. And
okay.
it won't be 42 players.
No, it won't be, but it will contain Joao Felix. Explain to me why Chelsea has spent £42 million on a player who did not pull up any trees when he was on loan with them.
Well, look, Joao Felix, I still think is a very, very good player. OK, his move to Atletico Madrid didn't work out. Atletico paid something like £113 million for him. He has had problems at Atletico. His relationship with Diego Simeone hasn't been great. Diego Simeone wanted him out. He'd been on loan at Chelsea. He was on loan at Barcelona last season as well. He still is an exceptional player who has a lot to prove. And from what I'm hearing, I haven't had this confirmed, but I think he's taken a wage cut to move to Stamford Bridge. And he fits in with the new owner's new wage policy as well. So I think it makes sense from that perspective as well. But again, judge him on what he does this season. Yes, I know the point you're making. He hasn't been living up to his potential in the past couple of seasons, but he still is an exceptional player. And I think in the right environment, he will show what he can do. And I think his wages also make sense for Chelsea at the moment. OK, so he's in. Conor Gallagher is out. How do you feel about the way he's been treated? I'm not a Chelsea fan. I think a lot of Chelsea fans are disappointed, upset about the way he's been treated. You know, he was somebody who I think captained Chelsea more than 20 times last season. He was a fan's favourite. But again, if you're building a squad and in your squad you have players like Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, Lavia, players that you've signed for big, big money, you have to be honest with a player like Conor Gallagher and say, look, you're not going to get that many minutes if you stay. And look at it, instead of looking at it, you know, from a sort of saying everything is doom and gloom for him. Come on, let's get real. Conor Gallagher is moving to one of the biggest clubs in the world. He's moving to La Liga. How many players would want to go and play for Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, in La Liga, and work with Diego Simeone? So, all these people who are saying, Chelsea don't know what they're doing, the club's always in the headlines for the wrong reasons, surely you should be saying, Conor Gallagher, brilliant, well done. You're better off out of there, and you've got this fantastic move to Atletico Madrid.
Right, we know Chelsea wanted a striker. They wanted Omarodion, didn't get him. Got Felix. The number 9 shirt's still up for grabs, so they're going to have to go again, surely. Is that the case?
Well, look, I know Chelsea are looking for another striker, and we've been talking a lot. I know people are really interested in squad numbers, who's wearing what number. We know that João Felix has got the number 14 shirt, which belonged to Trevor Chalobah. Chalobah has been told in face-to-face talks that he would not be getting many minutes next season, so he'll be leaving. So Felix has got 14. We also know that Pedro Neto got number 7. This was all while the number 9 was available. So why didn't either of them get that number 9 shirt? I think it's because Chelsea is still out there looking for a number 9. Guess what? Victor Osimhen at Napoli wears a number 9. We know Chelsea are interested in signing him. So could they be keeping that shirt free for Victor Osimhen? I'm not sure that will happen because of the size of the transfer fee and his wages. But Chelsea are definitely there to do a deal for Victor Osimhen if Napoli are willing to compromise.
Kaveh Solhekol.